When you think about top women entrepreneurs in India, there are few names that clearly stands out. And I'm really honored that two of those top women entrepreneurs are joining us as speakers for this session today. Ladies, please get ready with your pens and papers because you are going to get a lot of lessons on entrepreneurship today. Our first speaker is the first Indian woman founder to enter the prestigious Startup Unicorn Club. She is one of the pioneers of the e-commerce industry in India and previously founded ShopClues in 2011 to create a marketplace bringing the bazaars of India online. She has won multiple prestigious awards, including Exemplary Women Entrepreneur of the Year, Outlook Businesswoman of Worth, and many more. And now, she is currently busy running her new venture, Kind Life. I'm talking about none other than Radhika Ghai. Welcome, Radhika. How are you feeling today?
Thanks for having me, Ridhima. What an honor to be here.
So, Radhika, you not only represent entrepreneurship, but also women empowerment. So, please tell us about your first stint as an entrepreneur when you actually founded your own advertising agency way back in 1997, and then later, followed by Fashion Clues and Shop Clues. How did you even think about getting into e-commerce business even before the big e-commerce boom?
It's all learnings and a bit of it is serendipity as well, Ridhima. My first entrepreneurial venture, which was Abhivyakti, it was a very short stint, straight out of college, and I got married really young and had moved to Chandigarh. I had a job offer in Delhi at that time to work with Lintas, and I couldn't take it up because शादी हो गई चंडीगढ़ चले गए कुछ करना है and that's how Abhivyakti came about. I think that was the first time I realized, okay, if I can't really work for my dream company, maybe I can create my own dream company, and that was the genesis of it. Went back to business school, worked at marquee best in breed places, Goldman Sachs, Nordstrom in the US. And that's really where I learned about e-commerce. So at Nordstrom, one of the first projects that I did was moving the catalog business to the e-commerce business. And Nordstrom is a very large high fashion department store based in the US. And they had about 120 odd stores and exemplary service that they would provide to the consumers. And the best part was that they had an inverted pyramid structure that they would talk about, where the CEO would be right at the bottom and the consumers, the customers were at the top. So everybody worked towards giving the best service possible to the customers. And I thought, it was so simple, yet it made so much sense. And digital was just starting off. I think all of that put together led to Shop Clues in one form or the other. Fashion Clues was a predecessor to Shop Clues, but that was more based on content. Then 2008, 2009 happened. A lot of you might not even remember it, but that was also the year the world economic markets crashed. And I had to take a step back. And then again, serendipity, Shop Clues happened, knew that e-commerce in India, or rather the digital penetration in India was taking off very, very rapidly. The Indian consumers were going to come on board, were going to come online. But the problem was that the markets where they were shopping, which is the smaller mom and pop strip malls, हमारे जो sector markets होते हैं, most of these markets were not online at that point, right? So Shop Clues, the aim was to be able to bring those bazaars online and bring in the consumers from tier 2, tier 3 cities. Proud to say that at peak we were doing about, I'd say, 200,000 orders on a daily basis, over 70 million visitors on a monthly basis, and over 750,000 merchants who had come on the platform. And these were all micro, small, medium enterprises. So very exciting to be able to build that out and to be a part of the entire beautiful internet journey of India over the last 10 years.
Wow. That's a fascinating journey so far, Radhika. So tell me, did you always want to become an entrepreneur, or it just happened to you by serendipity, as you mentioned?
And I call myself the accidental entrepreneur, really, honestly. But I also think, Radhika, I've been thinking about it a little bit that as women, we didn't have. I won't say we didn't have role models. It's just that these were not career options as a generation as well. These were not career options that we looked at. I am a Gen X person, and career as an entrepreneur didn't really exist at that point. Maybe the career as a really small entrepreneur where you can run a boutique, but for women to think big, for women to think about building out $1 billion companies, for women to think about the ability to build out strong tech companies is a very different world. I'll give you a small example that I graduated from high school, and I'm completely dating myself, guys. Just bear with that. I graduated from high school in 1995, and I had not heard of IIT. My father was in the army, and it's just that wasn't a career option that I ever looked at. I knew nothing about it. And when I talked to my friends who were obviously the same age, went to IIT, they started working towards it when they were in their eighth or ninth. But I don't, and it wasn't for lack of opportunity or lack of encouragement from my parents. I just don't think even they knew about it. So there was not as much awareness about what is possible. And I think as the world opens up to you, you have to keep your own eyes open as well and realize that if Ridhima can do it, so can I. And I think that is the bit of um, I don't know what the right word is, tenacity that I've always had. I've always believed that if somebody has done it, it's possible. Now I believe even if somebody's not done it, it's possible. But that was a journey as well.
Wow, that's really interesting to hear about that. So, like you mentioned, there was lack of awareness when you started out. So, what were other similar challenges that you faced while you were starting out? And you said there was no role model as such. And what are the other things that you had to face out, which you think are much better for women who are starting out their entrepreneurship journey right now?
So let me talk a little bit about, when we started Shop News, right? We moved back from India. I moved to the US in 99 to go to business school, studied there, worked there, moved back to India in 2011 to start Shop News. There was no cohort of women entrepreneurs. Very, very, very few of us. I remember running into Upasna Thakur from MobiQuick at one of the events, and this must have been in 2012, 13, something like that. And I was just so happy to see her because it was there was somebody else who was like me. Very, very, very few women. I think that has changed completely. We're doing a far better job of getting more and more women as entrepreneurs. I am a member of, I'd say, a bunch of groups where there are women entrepreneurs talking to each other about regulatory struggles, talking to each other about customer acquisition, talking to each other about playing poker together. That cohort didn't exist earlier. So it's really good to see that.
Yeah, that is why we actually believe to have this continuous dialogue of having more women in the industry to make it more inclusive and diverse, so that the problems that you faced, the challenges that you faced earlier, should not be a problem for the women of today who are starting their journey right now.
Absolutely.
But having said that, Radhika, uh, tell us what kept you motivated and get you going even with the tough times and the challenges that you faced.
So I have a very simple mantra, and that mantra is just show up. And it is literally as simple as putting one foot in front of the other, and the places you'll go. I don't, tenacity, I've talked about that earlier. Every time I start a new, I don't know what the right word is, a new phase of my life or anything, a new experience for myself, I identify words that are going to get me through it. And tenacity has been one that has gotten me through many, many, many years. I believe that every day, regardless of whether it is going well or not going well, you have to show up. You have to show up not just with your body, you have to show up with your heart, and you have to show up with your brain. Sometimes the brain will not work. Many times the brain will not work. That day, show up to work with your heart, guys. And I think that's the most important thing. It is all about getting there. I think, whether you look at it in terms of, it's very similar to a financial investing profile as well, that every month, if you invest 1,000 rupees, at the end of 20 years, you'll have a lot more to show for it versus waiting 20 years and then investing whatever money you've saved, 1,000 rupees every month at that month. So it's all about compounding, not just compounding your money, but also compounding your experiences, compounding your energy. And I wish more people talked about it. And I truly, truly believe in that. I truly believe in just showing up, doing something every day, whether that is in our physical fitness, whether that is in our financial literacy, whether that is in our own entrepreneurial business that we build out. And you could be working full time at a corporate and you have that little bit of an entrepreneurial bug. Do a little bit every day. At the end of 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, you'll realize that you have a far better understanding of what needs to be done.
That is so true. That is what my gym coach tells me. Show up every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually is so true for so many facets of life, right?
Yeah.
And if you actually just show up, there is so much you're going to achieve in life. I think just showing up, being consistent, being persistent is something that everybody should, follow it from their heart, as you mentioned, right? Show it with all your heart. Trust me, sky is the limit.
Yeah, and
So,
usually, I think we over index on intellect, we over index on educational capabilities. What we should over index on is enthusiasm and the ability to be consistent. I think that is way more important to be an entrepreneur, to be successful pretty much at everything in life, versus just that one spurt where you did really well and got into the best in breed college and then kind of move forward from there. There is, in life, we get 100 chances to outperform. There's never that one chance that I didn't get into the college of my choice, or I didn't get a 99 percentile in 12th grade, and that's true for children today. That's not your only chance. In life, you will get 100 chances. Take each one of them and run.
So true, so true. So, after shop close, I'm sure you must have had a lot of experiences, learnings, and you recently started your new venture, Kind Life. So tell us something about that. So what were the lessons that you actually learned, or the best practices that you got during your journey of running shop close that you would want to apply here now?
So, at Shop Cruise, when we started off, less than 4% of our customers were women. And today, when you look at what the cohort looks like in internet customers in India, over 45% of them are women. So starting a business today is very different from starting a business in 2011. The entire experience, how you build it out, who are the people who are going to come by today is very, very different, right? Internet penetration is through the roof. Today is I would say, today is the day we were waiting for the last 10 years. And for entrepreneurs like me who've been here for a while, this is the dream we've been looking for. So it's very different now. And I'm super excited to build out Kind Life. Kind Life is a platform for everything well-being. So whether you're looking for products that you can, well-being products, highly curated well-being products, whether they are nutrition supplements, nutraceuticals, functional foods, snacks, functional drinks, beauty, personal care, home care, and everything with a very clearly defined kind code. That means these products are highly tested. These brands have certifications from the best industry associations in the world. These are the platforms we are bringing on board. We've already done all the homework for you to be able to come and buy. And Kind Life for me came out of a a very personal experience where the last 3 years, I said the last 4 years, was so stressful that I feel I paid a price of it with my own mental peace, with my own physical health. And as I worked on improving that, I realized that this is where it becomes really important, that how do I find the right products? How do I find my tribe? And that's what Kind Life is building out. It's kindlife.in, and still at a very nascent stage, but that's the essence of it. That Kind Life comes, Shop Clues came from a sense of opportunity that is there. Kind Life comes from a sense of opportunity and a very strong personal experience. So I'm super excited to be able to bring that on board. Initially when we were chatting, Radhika, I had said that I usually give myself words, that these are the words that I'm going to use for the next phase of my life, and you can call them hashtags as well now. But right now, the words for me, tenacity is consistent. That is important for me. Just showing up is important for me, and it's helped me in good stead. The second word that is very important for me is energy right now. I want to have the right energy to be able to do things. Also, want to be around people with a very similar energy. And that is another advice that I would give a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of just people who are starting off, whether you're starting off, whether you're in your career, surround yourself with people who mirror your energy and whose energy you can mirror. Because surrounding yourself with anybody who is a naysayer, um, while that occasional devil's advocate long run, you're going to pay a price for that. So be careful who you associate with. And the third one is fearlessness. And I think for women, for all of us, it's really important. Be fearless. Identify what your risks are, but take the plunge. Be fearless. And I think I've put together all these three into building out Kind Life. My point in life was very different when I started Shop Clues. For Kind Life, I'm putting in all of this and bringing the most authentic shopping experience out to the consumer.
Wow, that is so great. And I really agree that see, the whole of universe is actually built off of energy, right?
Yes.
That is what we have. And this is so true. If I actually meet somebody who doesn't really vibe on the same energy as I, my whole system, my whole mood goes off, right? But if you are with somebody who has like a very positive energy, very good work attitude, and you surround yourself with that, so that actually changes a lot of dimensions. And the next thing that you said, fearlessness, I think we should all imbibe that if we want to grow in any form of life, in any career phase, right? So that is right, really, really nice, bang on points that we wanted to, share with all the audience here. So, Radhika, this was great. But before we wrap up, we actually want to know what is Radhika, who is Radhika on a personal front. So why not let's have a little nice rapid fire with Radhika. Are you
Absolutely.
ready, Radhika?
Yes, ready, ready. Bring it on.
Okay. So we'll start off with a warm-up question, okay? So tea or coffee?
Coffee any day.
Okay. So reading a book or watching your favorite series on Amazon Prime?
Reading a book any day, any day, any day. And I have the best recommendations. Ping me, guys.
Nice, absolutely. So, okay, Radhika, if you could start your venture anywhere in the world, where it would be?
Gurgaon, India.
Awesome, awesome,
I'm in the right place at the right time.
awesome, great. Okay, so Radhika, what is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh my God. I am an experimental eater, so I have eaten a lot of things. One thing that I ate in Japan, and this was on a business trip, which I didn't know what it was a shark fin soup. And that's also the thing that I regret the most, because I realized how sharks were treated to be able to make it. And that is my biggest regret. I will never eat it again. I don't support it at all, but I did eat that.
Okay, so Radhika, what is the most interesting thing that you have in your wallet right now?
The most interesting thing, the most beloved thing that I have in my wallet is a picture of my boys. And the picture was taken while they were jumping off a cliff. So probably the most interesting as well.
That's so sweet. So, okay, lastly, what are the two things you would put on your bucket list?
Oh my God, so much now that I've not had a chance to travel in the last 2 years. But I do want to go to Croatia. That is very, very important for me. And just for the sheer beauty of the nature there. And as my son says, we are city travelers. I love large cities. I love the idea of going and visiting them. My concept is to go and spend a lot of time in each one of them. I do want to go to Venice and live there for at least a month. So that is the major thing on my bucket list.
Our bucket lists are very similar,
Oh, yay,
Radhika.
we can travel together.
Awesome. Awesome.
Good energy,
So
good
this
energy.
absolutely, this is the energy that we need in our friend circle, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this was great. So whoever is watching us today, right now, audience, how did you like Radhika's rapid fire? Tell us in the comments below. Okay, I see someone is already saying like 11 on 10. Wow. So this has been great conversation, Radhika. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. And this was fun, good energy to all of you.
Our next speaker is often called as the biggest storyteller of India's digital space. Born and brought up in Bihar, she founded Your Story in 2008, which is now India's largest digital media platform for entrepreneurship. She has more than 2 million followers on her personal social media handles, and Your Story was listed amongst the 500 LinkedIn influencers across the world. You guessed it right. I'm talking about the very popular Shradha Sharma. Welcome, Shradha. How are you feeling today?
Thanks, Radhima. Thanks for having me and thanks for such a warm introduction. Excited to be talking to you.
Great. So let's dive into what's your story is, Shradha. So, Shradha, you were a popular journalist before. What made you leave a large company to start a digital venture in 2008? What led you to pivot to become an entrepreneur and start your story? What's your story, Shradha?
Ridhima, thanks. It's a very good question that you're asking. And I just, so my answer to this is somewhere I feel, and I could be wrong, I feel that all of us, especially in India, we are born entrepreneurs because we are always aspiring to get better, to do better. And we all have this, because we get, most of us get raised in middle class households where our parents and everyone makes us think about life, doing good, being good, thinking. And so, finding meaning, purpose in our lives and doing something meaningful, making money, doing better is, every middle class family's aspiration. And I think I'm a product of that. Grew up in Patna in Bihar at a very, very difficult time in a family of 4 girls. We were 4 sisters. So a very different milieu. So there was an aspiration, there was an ambition to do something to, to get my voice heard. Because when I was growing up, the voices of girls, we were, you had to become age 18 in most cases, and get married. And for me, it was very important that voice kahin na dabe, and my voice should be heard. And so does everyone. Once you see yourself being suppressed, then you have empathy for everyone else who is being suppressed. And for me, it was very, very important that everyone's voice gets heard. And that's why I joined media, and that's why I was in media. I was with Times of India, CNBC, and somewhere. But coming from Bihar, studying in Delhi, going to Bombay, working, I realized that media is all about who can shout the most, who can and celebrating very successful people, but people who cannot tell their stories, people who come from maybe places like Bihar, where the way we speak in English and Hindi, everyone makes fun of Biharis and the way people talk. And it's about not just Bihar, everywhere else, right? When you can't tell your story in the best way, how do you give voice, and how do you create a platform and not celebrate you when you are very successful? Tab to duniya aapke piche hai. but आप जब पहली बार खड़े हो रहे हैं, how is someone giving you that voice? And it came from somewhere very personal, and then that's how I thought that 2008, I didn't even think, no business model, no nothing. I just thought that people need to get their voice, and especially who cannot tell their stories. And also the other thing, if you think sociologically, in India we are not told to tell our stories. मतलब अपनी तारीफ मत करो और अपनी स्टोरी मत सुनाओ और अपना बड़प्पन मत दिखाओ, और उसमें हम सब पीछे रह जाते हैं. और जो अच्छे से बोल पाते हैं और अच्छे से कह पाते हैं, can sell their stories too very well. So first, you can't tell about yourself. Second thing is, you don't have that wherewithal, you don't have the money. Third is that when you are young, you don't have all the resources. When you're successful, people will chase you. So all these things, and the personal need that everyone should have their voice and their stories be told. I started your story in 2008, and now it is 13 years. It's like a long time, and we've told more than 120,000 stories of young entrepreneurs from across the country. Srinagar le jao, Assam, Agartala, Northeast mein le jao, you name anywhere and everywhere, and we have given voices to young people doing interesting things. And I'm very blessed to be telling stories.
Awesome. I think you rightly said that, you should be a good storyteller, and not just as a journalist, but also if you want to do or grow in your career, right? You should be able to sell yourself better. And in fact, that is what a lot of my managers have told me, right? That Ridhima, in order to grow, you should be able to tell your story better. What are your achievements? What have you been working on? And this is a very well said statement, Shradha. And how you have put it beautifully, right? And how were your dreams when you were in Bihar? But I'm sure you must have faced a lot of challenges while starting your story. In fact, when you are a budding tech media, reaching out to entrepreneurs and asking them to share their stories, I'm sure it must not be easy. So can you tell us more about it? What were the challenges that you faced?
Ridhima, and this I want to call out, because we answer karne se pehle, I really want to call this out. I think as a human being, if we are born, and it sounds very philosophical, but as human beings, if we are born in this body, embodied creatures, we have to suffer. I really believe in the Buddhism theory that life is a suffering. So there is no one who lives a life without suffering. And as an entrepreneur, it's a manifestation, right? Today you are working in a company, there also there is the suffering. If you're an entrepreneur, there is a suffering. So one should not feel that entrepreneurs particularly have more sufferings, but I definitely feel that, but I want to at the same time say that yes, when you are starting something which is a storytelling, and you want to create a sustainable business out of it, and especially as a woman, when you start, there are some nuanced challenges which one has to face, and that continues to come in different ways. Earlier, one of the stories I've told quite a lot of times, but when I had gone to tell someone's story, someone called me, okay, interview, and I went, and this guy enters the room, looks at me, and he says, "You're from CNBC?" Because I was from CNBC earlier, but then I had left and started your story. I said, "No." Then he said, "Show me your card." But that time I didn't have a business card. Then he said to the PR person who had arranged the meeting to do his interview, he said, kahan se log ko utha ke le jate hain? I'm not going to give, she's sub crony or something and so abusive and weird. And he said, "Who is she?" Like, and I was a assistant vice president at CNBC. I was quite senior, and I was used to a certain code of conduct, meeting very influential people. And here suddenly I had no tag and no identity. And someone is saying, "Oh, she's trying to build her startup by telling my story. So please tell her to go." And I came out of that building and I cried, because the way I think it was, and I'm giving a very small example because there are like millions of examples that manifests in different way. But I really cried when I came out of that building, and I felt so bad because I had gone with a very pure heart, because he was also not some big celebrity, someone just starting and doing, but in from an old traditional world. And I thought, I'll tell his story and push it, promote it, because there was a hunger. And this girl had said, "Can you help tell his story?" But then I went down and I really cried. But रिद्धिमा, रोई मैं बहुत. और उस दिन पता नहीं, खुद आज भी मुझे याद है, गोरेगांव बॉम्बे में नीचे आके रोई. or that day I said, God will be with me, because my intent is to help people and tell stories with heart and soul. And वो एक दिन ऐसा भी आएगा जहाँ पे सब कोई अपनी स्टोरी में people will call to tell. And आज वो दिन है कि Prime Minister interviews, as a digital media, tech media, I did Prime Minister Narendra Modi story, spent time with him. रतन टाटा के साथ पहला लाइव लास्ट ईयर पैंडेमिक में, उससे पहले भी 2-3 बार उनकी इंटरव्यूज और स्टोरी कर चुकी हूँ. People, president premiers come from across the world today. I have the privilege to tell their story. तो वो जर्नी मगर लगता है टाइम, बट I gave a very small example. वो मैनिफेस्ट कर सकता है, बहुत बहुत चीजों में मैनिफेस्ट किया है. और एक चीज जो मुझे खलती है, I built a profitable, sustainable, powerful and high impact. It's a blessing to be able to help so many people every day, because once their story comes, they get funding, they get investors, they get partners, customers, सबका होता है. और हम चार्ज नहीं करते हैं स्टार्टअप्स की स्टोरी करने के लिए. And somewhere I just think that the credit from my peers and ecosystem doesn't come. I sometimes feel if I was a man, then they would have said, wow, what a dude. Profitable, 13 years, rigor, grit, and build a business out of storytelling and created massive impact. But because I'm a woman, और क्यों तो कहते हैं अच्छा, she must be charging for her stories to startups, she must be doing PR में बहुत अच्छी है, networking में बहुत अच्छी है, she's very smart, and then that comes from males, and that used to affect me. And बहुत ही तुम्हें इस इंटरव्यू में I'm giving you a very क्या कहते हैं उसको not very detailed examples of how it manifests, but it goes much deeper than just the sayings. And पहले बहुत hurt लगता था रिद्धिमा, and I used to get very affected by it. But today I feel that the biggest thing I've done in my journey, and it has taken a lot of effort, is to say that 5 people will pull me down, and there'll be 95 people who will be good and happy and celebrating, and I'll be able to create impact. Now, every day when I get up, where will my concentration go? And that has been the biggest learning, blessing, journey, and I've been able to become better because I concentrate on 95, and consciously I don't choose to look at 5 people who are trying to pull me down every day.
That's so wonderfully put, Shradha. So the key message here is stay consistent, stay persistent, and trust the universe. You keep going on and trust the universe that things will fall into place. So your story is a big brand now and have inspired thousands of lives and transformed into a big storytelling platform with a splash of motivation and encouragement. And I see your story is also backed up by some top investors, including Ratan Tata and Vani Kohli. So tell us, Shradha, what are the tips that helped you convince the investors to have faith in you?
So, Riddhima, honestly, I would say very cliched, but I didn't do anything to convince them. Somewhere, but I believe if you walk the talk and you live very transparently and you are who you are, you don't try to polish yourself and you don't try to be something else. So I came and it's मेरी बड़प्पन नहीं है, ये investors की बड़प्पन है और उनका maturity दिखता है. That for me, it was very important that your story exists and continues to exist for a long time till India becomes an equal place for everyone. And that's a long time away, where every story can be heard and told and supported. And to me, these people came, they saw that honesty, they saw that purpose. And I think more than anything else, that they were aligned in the purpose. Ye story nahi hai, ye reality hai. And honestly, I had bootstrapped the company before I got investors for 7 years. It was a profitable company, small scale, but profitable. अपनी spine पे खड़ी थी, profitable, bootstrap. तो उसके बाद investors को पता चला कि passion है, impact है, and she's been able to make money out of it. And that's why they came and supported and they joined the mission. So yeah, so I would say to all entrepreneurs, to everyone, bring your whole self to a place. right? Just bring your imperfect, real self to the place, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And agar wo insan tumhara partner banna hai, because all these investments is a long-term partnership. So if they can love
Yep.
you in your good and your bad and everything about you, then that's going to be a very beautiful partnership. And that's what I did. And that's the partnership. And these were very mature, evolved investors. So they supported it.
Yeah, absolutely. Authenticity is very important, right? In anything you do, right? So, Shraddha, so you have always been an advocate of women empowerment, and I have read a lot of articles of you talking about building women circles, right? So, what you or your story have done for entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs?
Ridhima, again, a believer in walking the talk. And you know, bachpan mein padhi thi, do to others as you would expect them to do to you, right? Behave with others as you would expect them to behave with you. And as a woman, how do I want, as a girl, as a woman, how do I want myself to be treated? And that's what I think with every woman. And I'll come to women entrepreneurs. I'm very proud to say in my company, 65% of the workforce is women. And and and
Wow.
and you know, I feel very proud about this fact. And the average size, average years that they stay is 4-5 years. And I feel very, very good about this, because you know, and we become like a family. And I think women are extraordinary. I love them. They work so hard. They're so committed. And of course, they are so humble also. There's so many things that you understand as a woman, which I hope others also learn, all kinds of gender learn, but I'm not again bringing that lens, because somehow I feel that to every woman who succeeds, I think there's some amazing, extraordinary men who also are, you know, who have an equal worldview. So I wouldn't say a feminist view or a masculine view or whatever view, an equal view. Or aaj ke date mein main dekh rahi hu that there are amazing men also who bring that equal lens. So anyways, for women entrepreneurs, we run this program called Women on a Mission. We do big events. We do roundtables. We come up with reports. In fact, we have come up with very, very interesting statistics. Constantly, we keep coming out with this report. We have a platform called Her Story, where every possible woman entrepreneur we go after, promote their stories very, very authentically, connect to a lot of women entrepreneurs, to investors. And in fact, right now, I'm also in the board of CXXO, which Kalari as a fund has a $10 million they have put in to invest in women entrepreneurs, and I'm on the board of that fund. So yeah, CXXO. So yeah, so those are the some, and then of course on my personal capacity, I've also invested in some women-led ventures.
That was great, Shraddha. But before we wrap up, I just want you to share a piece of advice you want to give to women who want to start their journey as entrepreneurs or who are in their initial phase of this journey.
दो तीन चीजें, if you understand Hindi and maybe you could transcribe it into English. एक गाना है हिंदी वर्ल्ड से पुराना, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, छोड़ो बेकार की बातों में बीत न जाए रहना. So, and especially as women, we are very, very sensitive. Our strength is that we are very sensitive, we are very empathetic, we are very loving. But that strength also becomes weakness, because in our sensitivity, we also pick up what most people thick-skinned wouldn't pick up, that we pick up that people can be condescending, people don't support, people surprise us both pleasantly and unpleasantly. Remember that that's a fact. And the more you accept कि ठीक है, दोनों तरह के लोग मिलेंगे and maybe बहुत सारे negative लोग भी मिलेंगे, will that make me, that's my very, very personal favorite, मैंने एक quote कहा है कि जिंदगी को कैसे जियूं, if I get up today, will I be the heroine of my story or will I be the victim of my story? Will I be the victim of the circumstances, or will I own my story and I'll be heroine and superheroine of my story? And that question, if you ask yourself every day or every night, then you start becoming responsible for yourself. And then you don't listen to the negative, you start cutting down negative voices. क्योंकि ऐसा कोई नहीं है जिसको सुनना नहीं पड़ता है, tough नहीं होगा. How will it define you? Will it break you? Will it disturb you? Will it depress you? Yes, for some time, for few hours, maybe for a few days, it's okay. But are you going to get up and be the heroine of your story? And that's the message I want to tell all the girls, all the women, everyone. That's your decision. That's your life. You're going to live, you're going to die. So, how are you going to be living? That is something you have to ask every day.
Wow, wow, that's beautiful. I have also taken mental note of all these things, right? Because I also aspire to be, a women leader, just like you people, right? So I have also taken my notes. But Shraddha, we won't let you go like this. We want to have like a fun rapid fire with you, just to get to know you better on a personal front. So yes, are you ready for the rapid fire, Shraddha?
I'm not ready, but you can ask.
Okay, great, great. The audience is looking forward to this, right? And our viewers who are watching us right now, so please comment below how is Shraddha doing in that, right? Okay, so let me get started. Okay, Shraddha, work from home or work from office?
Work from office.
Work from office, nice. Work out at home or gym?
Work out at home.
Great. How many books have you read this year?
78 or 80.
Wow. What's your superpower to read these
I'm a voracious
books
reader.
so
And sometimes I don't complete the books, but yeah, I just pick up the important points. But I love reading. Yeah.
wow, that's great. So, okay, so if I could grant one superpower to you right now, what would that be?
One superpower.
Yeah,
I would say to bring happiness to all the people who lost their close ones, near and dear ones in COVID, because I have gone through a personal loss, and I think it takes a long time to recover. I hope some
yeah,
peace, healing comes in the heart because it's very painful. Yeah. So if I can create that magic in everyone's heart who has lost
yeah,
someone, yeah.
that's so sweet. So, okay, so if you were on a plane, Shraddha, that was about to crash,
Oh.
who would you want to be sitting next to?
I would be sitting, if there is a God, then I would want God to be sitting next to me so that the plane crashes and I go down, but then the God takes me in his or her hand and we fly right up to the heaven.
Wow, wow, that is interesting. That is super interesting. I was expecting some celebrity kind of an answer, but this is super interesting. Okay, lastly, last question we have. Okay, what is the one thing that makes you super happy?
One thing that makes me super happy. I don't know, Ridhima, one thing, there's so many things, but I think I always feel very, very peaceful. I don't know why, with nature, in nature. Early mornings, looking at the cloud and the sun and the air and the weather. And I'm touch wood so lucky to be in Bangalore. So nature always makes me so I can't be depressed with nature around. I don't know, it's very surreal. I think we come from nature, go to nature. So I don't know, I feel very happy with nature.
Great, great. Shraddha, this was so much fun. So whoever is watching us right now, please tell us in the comments, how did Shraddha do? Right? And this has been a great conversation. Shraddha, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. You were an amazing host and love this conversation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.